Today's video, we are going to talk about how to make a Facebook campaign work much quicker than you're going to get otherwise through something called data expansion. Which the short of that is you basically find out a hell of a lot more about the buyers that you're selling to. And I don't mean somebody who just wants my product or service. No. Somebody who's a certain age, certain location, certain interest, certain affinity level, and then using that to narrow down who you could possibly target on your Facebook account to get the results much faster than you would otherwise, shrinking down the possible people that you're going to try to sell to a much smaller list that just buys, practically every time, if you will. Not really obvious. I'm obviously embellishing there, but very few people do this. And the reason why this works is because the cost per eyeball on Facebook is going to be the same whether you're marketing to people who are highly likely to buy, kind of likely to buy, not very likely to buy. So the easiest way to make more money from Facebook ads, assuming you have a pretty good ad already, is just to narrow down who you're targeting. Really, it's that simple. So you can use the lazy man's version of making money on Facebook and advertise it to everybody. And if people that want it will, they raise their hand, and the people who don't won't. All of that costs you money. People that you market to that don't have a high likelihood of buying makes your campaign less profitable every single time. And if you're making a lot of money doing things inefficiently like that, then you keep doing it. But it doesn't mean you won't make more money understanding system that we're using at our agency to cut down on that waste up front and get to a much higher ROI. And then more importantly, much sooner in the process, because when you do this, instead of it taking 6 months with a lookalikes campaign, you can get done in 6 months what you want to get done in a week. Or even right away with this system I'm giving you here on today's video. I will go through what this system is, and I'll also tell you what results we just got with this just on our latest campaign, which we've done this several times already now, so it's repeatable. If you watch to the end of the video, I will tell you about how much money we're making doing this with a home goods product at our firm. With that said, I am Corey Zyman, owner of Guaranteed PPC, an online advertising agency that specializes in guaranteeing advertising results for clients at our firm that is more profitability of their ads before we charge management fees on new campaigns or existing campaigns, which should tell you something about the quality of the information that I'm sharing with you here on today's video. So to get into the content here, I'm basically just going to run through this system for you step by step so you can replicate it on your end, and then I'll tell you about the kind of numbers you're going to get, which if you do it all correctly with the full plan, you don't take any shortcuts, you can get down to paying as little as 5 to 10 cents per click on your ad to your website. It'll be that effective. If you don't believe me, reach out to me at my agency. I will show you an ad that gets exactly those numbers that's running right now. Okay, I'm just not going to share here on the video publicly because people are going to start copying the idea directly. And we've done this we got to those type of cost per click numbers several times now using this method. So it's very repeatable. So with that said, the very first step in this overall process of narrowing down and finding that golden group of people on Facebook to market to, that's going to be hyper responsive, which brings up the ROI on your campaign very high right away or very soon in the process of running a campaign, is you have to have a customer list. So unfortunately, if you're just starting out today, you woke up, you said, hey, I'm going to start a business today, I'm going to run an ad for this. This isn't very effective for you. Now, that said, you could go ahead and do a lot of research on your customers, looking at your competitors' customers, find out everything you can about them and whatnot, or you could be sneaky and you could pretend to be selling something else, go to your competitor and say you want to lease their customer list from them and you'll pay them so much per name, take their customer list and use that to use the system. You technically could do that. That is, you don't have to have that many customers, truly. If you have 200 customers or more already that you've had in your business already, then you're already good. But you got to get the customers and you got to get their either email or direct phone number, which email is basically better. Then step 2 is take that customer list to an data expansion company. Talk about this actually quite often on this channel, but with your customer list, there's companies that will tell you a lot more things about your customers, who they are, where they are, their education level, what type of job they work at, on and on and on and on. One I would recommend is through Axicom. They have the most data. They have a list of 40,000 individual traits that they keep tabs on in the American public. You can also do this outside the US as well. And so what you do is you give them your list of basically your 200 customers, and you tell them, I want to know as much about these 200 customers as I possibly can. And of course you have to pay for it, but it's worth it to get to the results I'm talking about here. Otherwise, you're just pissing away money on ad spend you don't need to piss away, and that's ongoing versus this one-time fee to get to where you know where that best 3% of what you're targeting now is. So you give them a spreadsheet. Here's the customer name, there's the email address, they give it back, and then they give you basically the most common traits that line up on your customer list. Education level, income, age, interests, hobbies. Naturally, what you're trying to do is find the traits that most commonly match up together from your customer list. What are the 3 things that in combination, if you were to get in front of somebody, makes them 5,000 times more likely to be a customer? Practically speaking, that's what you get. Is what you're gonna find is stuff like somebody liking fast food will make it 10 times that they're a customer of yours than not. And then you take that combined with another trait, which has a similar 10x, it increases the likelihood they're gonna be a customer of yours by 10x. And another one, and due to how statistics work, you take 10 times 10 times 10, now you ultimately, somebody with those 3 traits in conjunction is 10,000 times more likely to be a customer than not be a customer. With that, you pay some money, and yes, it's gonna be a few $1,000s to get data, and the bigger the list, the more you're gonna pay, but it's worth it because you're gonna get massive results using this, and you're gonna, like I said, whatever you pay, that's gonna be a drop in the bucket to what you save ad spend on wasted people. Now that's step 2. Now step 3, once you got that, you're gonna find at least 3 traits that most commonly line up. I pretty much already talked about this already, but just to regurgitate this, what are 3 traits that the customers that you've sold to before most commonly line up? So on a list of 1,000 customers, one of the 3 things you're gonna wanna see at least 100 of them have, okay, to get the kind of correlation and the results that we're talking about here. And then another trait on there, at least 100 out of the 1,000 want it. That's kind of like what you're going for. Your mileage will vary on this. Sometimes it's very easy to get things that are highly correlated what you're doing, and sometimes it's not. For security products, what you'll find, just as an example, because we've sold those before, that certain locations do much better than others. That is, locations with high crime. The bigger the customer list, the better you can obviously do this as well, just to state the obvious. But they'll find out that the people that normally are your customers, they basically mostly are going to come from, let's say, 5 states out of 50. So if you're going to do your advertising, one of the 3 things that you're going to do here is you're going to target people who are within these 5 states, specifically these 5 cities in particular. Then you combine that with everybody who's your customer typically has a top 10% of income. You combine that. These don't have to be specific, like hobbies, if you will. With that, somebody who likes to travel a lot, bang. Now you got something that's really, really predictive of whether or not somebody wants to buy your security product, because it's somebody away from home a lot, who's in a high crime area, who though also has high income that can afford the product. You got the winning formula that you need to move forward with step 4. Then for step 4, you're going to set up your Facebook campaign using a suppression list or other outside audiences if necessary, or inside audiences as necessary. Since most of my viewers on this channel are from the US, the US has 400 million people. Your goal would be get your 400 million people you're trying to sell to down to about 1 million people of the most likely people to buy by having these 3 pieces of information. That gets rid of, obviously, 95% of the wasted ad spend, 95% plus of wasted ad spend, I should say, by understanding the 3 things that people normally have if they are a customer and getting rid of everybody else who doesn't have those 3 things. So you can see how this actually gets you a lot more results. Instead of getting a 0.5% ROAS on your campaigns and you were targeting everybody and you found these 3 things and you started targeting people on these 3 levels, you could easily take a 0.5% ROAS to a 20 ROAS. Just by doing this one simple thing. You can use it to make a campaign profitable quickly, or you can make a campaign profitable right out the gate because you're not spending all the time to make the lookalike algorithm that most people like to run their campaigns off of and the tracking to eventually find that 3% of the market that really does buy through trial and error. That's why you do this. Step 5, though, there's one other step here. I just made a video about the most highest producing video ads that worked the best after testing hundreds of different video ads. I mentioned on that video that 75% of your results on Facebook lately or anymore is going to be based upon that ad, not the targeting per se. So I'm talking about all these results you can get by understanding targeting better, and it will get you a lot more results. But If you don't have a great ad, you many times just aren't going to make any money. You've got to have technically both. The ad actually is more important. You can have a fantastic ad targeting where you're just literally targeting everybody and you can still make money. You add this to it and you're going to make tons of money, and more importantly, like right away, because you're going to not have to go through all the trial and error to find the buyers. So you should still focus on the ad first, but it doesn't mean this targeting method here isn't going to help you out a ton. By the way, if you find out that somebody needs to like doing DIY projects, when you go to your Axicom to get your data from them about your customers and who normally buys from you, if you don't find that audience on Facebook to narrow people down on that level, you have a couple other ways to narrow down to those people still. One of which is through data lists themselves. You can go to a company like Nextmark Mailing Lists, which has a search engine of 60,000 mailing lists, and you could type in DIY in there, and oftentimes what you'll find is a list for sale of people who like doing DIY projects themselves. They're like on the weekend, instead of watching football, they like fixing stuff or doing like little projects and whatever. And then you rent their email list from them and you bring it over to your Facebook account, and then you could say, unless they're on this email list, we're not going to target them. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to use data brokers like LiveRamp, which they have a high minimums. We're talking unless you're spending 10 grand a month, it's not going to be worth it. They have lists of people that are DIY, and you literally pay to access the list that they have in their system that you can then immediately import that audience into your Facebook campaign itself, and you're paying per 1,000 impressions on your ad. So if your ad doesn't work, then you don't have to really pay anything, if you will. That's a little bit better because they have access to better data, more data points, they have more categories available. It's just a little bit more expensive. So you can do things that way. And this is where, Facebook ads recently people have been complaining aren't as good as they used to be. Well, that's because of all the data privacy issues that came up. Facebook was forced to get rid of a lot of the data that Axicom was leasing them. You could actually find Axicom audiences, what we were just talking about before, inside Facebook. So if you wanted to target somebody that has 3 credit cards, you could do it before, and it was freaking amazing, and that's why it works so well. Now, because of the data privacy issues that sprung up, they got rid of that. You can bring it back again for yourself and get back to the glory days with Facebook just by using LiveRamp audiences. It basically then brings back everything you used to be able to do, or you use an outside email list, like I was talking about before, that you can rent from a data broker like Nextmark, and you get to targeting your ads that way. If your ad is good enough, maybe you don't have to worry about all this other targeting stuff. If it's not profitable to you and you can't afford to run your ad at a loss for the next 6 months to find the 1% of the public that's a good prospect to advertise to, then you go ahead and you do your work here, spend some money up front to find out the audience you need to target up front. A lot of times your campaigner is just going to work immediately out the gate at that point in time. That's what you get in return for this. With that said, the ad is very, very important. You want to use an ad that's actually going to be effective. In today's environment, ads that just look like ads don't really work well anymore. People drown them out. So the best ad is going to be the best ad that we've found that nothing else has beat this. You pay a news organization to review your product, and then you use that review of your product as your ad. So you get MSNBC to review your product or service, or you get Fox News to review your product or service. And you say, well, how do you do that? Like, what the hell? They're not going to just do that. Yes, they will. If you pay them enough money, they will. And we're not even talking about shady under the table dealings here. Almost all news organizations are doing this now. They have native content. You pay them money, you can get an article in New York Times. Yes, it might have something that says sponsored in small letters that you'll notice if you really are paying attention, but anybody can do that. You can get an article in a magazine. I don't care how crappy your product is, because they really, really, really need money, and they're desperate because their revenue is dying because of all the stuff going online. And for a news station, a big one like that, yeah, you're paying 10, 20, 30 grand to get a mention on a new product section on their news station. If you get the right ad, you're going to make millions of dollars from it. Literally. A drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. People will get scared off doing it because they don't want to throw 20 grand at it and it may not work. That's just small person thinking. I mean, unfortunately, I have to say it like it is. If you don't have any guts to try stuff that someone's telling you for sure will work, if you're really skeptical, reach out to me and I'll show you the ad where we've done this exact thing. So there's no reason why you should doubt it at all. But if you're not willing to do bold things like that to get your advertising to work, you're just never going to make any real money, because if you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get everybody else's results, which is not much. Okay, most people who run ads, by the way, they don't make any profit after all their expenses. Why? Because it's not easy, and they think the way to do it is just to do what everybody else is doing, frankly. The good results are figuring out what your customers really want to see and delivering on it. People don't want to see a commercial. They like to see something that was featured on Fox News and has 500 comments underneath it, because once you have that ad running, you'll have people commenting on underneath it, reactions, all of it. And then that's where the magic happens. When people are scrolling, you got to realize they're saying to themselves, is this an ad or is this not an ad? Oh, it's an ad. I'm not paying attention to it. When something comes down their feed and they see it's something on the news, they're not even thinking that. They're thinking, what the hell is this? It doesn't look like an ad anymore. And that's typically what you need to make money. You got to have an ad that doesn't look like an ad. And if you don't do that, you need what looks like a customer reviewing your product that they're sharing organically, or you got to have some ad where like you're beating the hell out of your product, which doesn't look like an ad, but it is an ad. You got to go that angle with it. My advice to you is to spend more time and money on the ad. And then once you get to the targeting, it's just icing on the cake, because you'll get more out of the ad being better than you will with the targeting, so to say. And like I said before, a good ad can make money with poor targeting after you've like done some trial and error with it. A good ad with this level of targeting can make an ad make money like instantly. So just keep that in mind. It's not that targeting isn't important, it's just not everything. You do a news ad. To do this, by the way, if you wanted to get a news ad going, just to let you know, you reach out to Fox News and you ask how much to advertise. Then you get an agent and then you talk to the agent. You say, hey, I would like to know if we can get featured on any new product sections, whatever. And they'll tell you the price, practically speaking. And that's basically all you have to do, or how to do it, or whatnot. If that won't work for you, or they wouldn't do it, or whatever, the second best is to find a TV show that's about your niche, about fishing, about auto mechanics, whatever, and get your product featured there. And it doesn't have to be products only. You can do services. And if you can't do that or whatever, you make an ad that looks like a customer reviewing your product, or you show your product given to somebody as a gift, and then you video the reaction of the person getting it, which is another great angle. Watch my video about making highest producing video ads, a couple videos before this. You'll see what other options you basically have that we know works the best. If I'm starting a company today, where I'm instantly going to, because I know those work the best after testing hundreds of different ads now. But you combine that kind of ad that really, really works in today's environment. This level of targeting, you will typically be able to make money, if not instantly. When I say make money, I mean an ROI that's profitable to your company very, very soon, like within a week or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of running it. And why 2 or 3 or 4 weeks? You typically still with advertising, when we're talking about non-search engine based advertising, people got to see your ad a few times before they take it seriously. The first time they see it, they don't take it quite seriously enough. It's called the power of sevens in marketing. Whereas though a lot of times the ad's so good that even the first time they see it, they're going to go ahead and buy. It's tough to do that. You have to be really good. And for that matter, everything has to line up, including the product you have actually has, it's a decent product. It isn't like we're selling a chair here. There's nothing better about it than pretty much anything else, or only slight, reasons why this chair is exciting. You have something that's really good, you can make money with it right away with the targeting I'm talking about and the ad I'm talking about. If you don't know, get into the results. If you don't know how to set this up for yourself or don't want to go through the trouble, this is what we do for clients all the time at our firm. Reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com. We'll give you a quote of what kind of results you can see with it up front before we take our management fee. We'll give you an 8-quarter projection, and you'll see for yourself kind of what you can do with it. We also sell ad templates. If we've already done all this hard work for somebody in your niche market, we'll sell you the winning ad, landing page, campaign template that we are using today or have used in the past for that client. You copy paste it into your account and get the same results we were getting with none of the work, none of the money that we had to spend to get it. The reason why I bring this up is because these templates have been very popular in the recent past with just the short amount of times that we've mentioned it on this channel. but also we've been doing business for over 10 years now, and we've got 100 plus industry templates. That and nobody else is offering these templates out there, which is why they're popular. And so anyway, I bring that up often on my channel now. If we've already got you the results, it would be silly to do the work to find out what we had to find out over years, testing this, testing that, to get to the results that you want. And for that matter, these templates are so good and polished, you literally could start a new business today around a template that we have and being profitable within 90 days. Usually the hardest part is finding an ad campaign that will work for that, to sell that product or service. And we could tell you not only that product or service will work, but what ad will work with it. And we've had several people that have used our templates for opening new business just like that. We've got people selling leads using our templates. We got people selling products that you can easily get from China and sell it in a country that our client isn't in and get results that way. If you're interested in those templates as well, let me know at guaranteedppc.com. At the very least, if we've worked in your niche market, or you should be seeing if we've worked in your niche market, because we can tell you the results we got in your niche market and we can tell you what the template costs, and you can right away probably get a ton of value just getting your hands on that template for learning, if not anything else, but most of the time just using it because it's a better version of what you have right now. With that said, getting into the actual results here. If you do everything I'm talking about here, it is not uncommon, like I mentioned already at the start of this video, to get a 10 cents or even 5 cents cost per click on your ad. When I say cost per click, I mean cost per click to your website or landing page. Yes, you will need a news station type ad with the targeting I'm talking about here. We ran both of these for a home goods product, which beautifies the home recently. It's also a part security product. Literally, we're averaging 10 cents CPCs, understanding how to take 400 million people that most people in the country could buy, getting it down to about 1 million people, which is the sweet spot that you want to typically get your Facebook audience targeting down to, because if you go less than that, by the time the campaign scales up, you're out of people. But more than that, you have room to narrow down your targeting more. At 1 million, you can kind of keep the campaign going at like 100 a day budget, and you will never really exhaust the audience. You can just let it run and run and run, and it'll just keep bringing in sales. But with that, to get to a 10 CPC, we had a 6% click-through rate. Most people are happy to get 1 to 2% click-through rate. We're getting 6+ because the ad's decent and we know exactly who's going to respond to it. And that ROI is over a 10x ROI. In that particular instance, it's a very expensive product, so we're mostly looking at turning the ad on. And because of how, the other thing that pisses me off about Facebook and why people don't like it anymore as well, is they only let you target for a short period of time after they've seen and click through the ad whether they bought or not. Like if you sell anything for thousands of dollars, you're going to have to see if the ad works through something called conversion lift testing, which is where you start advertising and then you see how your sales go up. We kick on an ad today, like I was talking about here, and it's February. In March, we'll check February's sales results compared to February sales results overall at the company to last year, and we'll see if anything else has changed. Basically, if it hasn't, we're going to assume that ad is what brought in the differential in sales this February versus the previous, which you may say that's not very clear or concrete, but when your sales are now, whatever you did got you a 20% increase in sales year over year this February, you can see if it holds true in March and April, and if it keeps your 20% year over year difference March, April, May, June, July. At some point, you got to admit to yourself, it's the ad that you're running that's given you this 20% lift. Not only that, but then you could also cross-verify that by increasing your budget a little bit more per day and seeing, does your sales go up even more? Conversion lift testing is the way to test ads that are not search engine ads, mainly because it takes generally people a time to see your ad, then see it a bunch more times, have time to think about it, have time, wait for people to get paid so they can buy, to know if an ad campaign works. And that's generally the better way to do it than seeing if somebody sees the ad, click through and buy right away. If you sell a $50 item, you can do that. Why? Because you either pretty much buy it right away or not, and you can afford to buy it right away, versus something that's $5,000, that's not how people buy. They get to your site, 95% of the time they're not buying right away. They're just not. And it takes follow-up ads, different remarketing ads going, which go through the rest of the benefits and features and all your reviews and your awards and all this stuff to get them the full rest of the way to make a purchase. I talk about remarketing as how it's so important all the time on this channel. Very few people understand it. Therefore, people don't get the results that they deserve with their ads. But that is the kind of results you literally can get once you make just a news-based ad, put up the money to actually do your ad right, and add this level of targeting. Get 3 3 unique things that match up with your customers most of the time. Use that as your targeting method on Facebook ads. If you want to know more in detail how to set this up a little bit better, what stuff we're using to guarantee results for our clients on Facebook campaigns, then you want to subscribe to this channel, because the information on this channel is all there to do that. It comes from somebody who spends 40 hours a week doing testing on ads, on Facebook, as well as on other platforms to know exactly what works and what doesn't work, which is me, and I give it to you straight on this channel. Most of the other information you're going to find online about how to make money with ads comes from people not even running ads. They run a couple ads. They're mainly just trying to sell you courses or making money off of advertising off of the YouTube channel or whatever. It's a hustle. You gotta have somebody in the weeds doing it, because stuff changes all the time. It takes a lot of times of running ads before you really know anything, truly. Otherwise, if it, by the way, if it didn't, everybody would be rich, because anybody who knows how to run ads successfully really, really well, they all are doing very, very well. That's just the reality. So anyway, you should subscribe to this channel. With that said, also, you should check my blog out. My blog you can find at my site at guaranteedppc.com/blog. My blog has actual step-by-step instructions on how to use the strategies and campaign types, guaranteed results for clients at our firm. So if you like the channel, you're pretty much going to like that as well. So you should check that out as well. If you have any questions about anything I covered here as well, leave me a comment in the comment section. I get back to every single person who leaves me a question or comment on this channel, usually within 24 hours time or less. So with that said, okay, this formula here goes contrary to what most people think Facebook ads could and should be like, which is they can spend a little time throwing up a campaign and getting results right away. Real results come from doing a lot of work up front to know not just kind of who you think should see your ad, for sure who should see your ad, and understanding what's going to actually get those people's attention most of the time, so they don't just immediately block your ad most of the time. And if they actually saw your ad, they would be apt to want to buy your product because you did all the research on them beforehand. So you packaged up understanding what your customer wants to see in an exciting package, understand how to get in front of that exact customer. That's where all the results are going to be with your ads on Facebook and running Facebook campaigns more than anything else. So if you're not making money with your stuff today, you want to seriously take a step back, consider what I told you on today's video, and get to doing it the correct way this time, where the money will be more than anything else. So if it can work, we'll just say, because you can't polish a turd still at the end of the day, it will work with this methodology I gave with you here on today's video. So with that said, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.
Remember when I said Facebook ADs was important during this video? Well, this video here tells you how to do it.